That's all? Too late. No, you're supposed to just take a picture or show me at the end of class that you did it. So 3.2e, solving polynomial equations. Pretend that S is silent. By factoring. This is broken into 4 parts. And so we're going to do part 1 first. Part 1. Part 1 is solve quadratic equations by factoring. So we're going to be solving quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is anything in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, right? The highest power is 2. Okay. All right. So starting here, there are, where'd my pen go? Pause, guys. All right, here we go. All right, there are 5 steps that we follow, but however, so starting with step 1, we start with step 0, and you will see why, okay? Step 0 is that you want to make sure that your equation is equal to 0. That's why it's called step 0. Is the equation equal to 0, okay? This is an equation because there's an equal sign. What we've been working with are just expressions because there's been no equal sign up until this point. Does that make sense? Okay, step 1 is you want to make sure that it is fully factored. Okay, so in the case of this problem, it is fully factored by GCF, right? They factored out the GCF. There's nothing else I can do with x minus 15. So guess what? Fully factored. Step 2, you want to separate the factors and set them equal to 0. So you're going to separate the factors and set them equal to 0. So my first factor is 5x. So I'm going to take 5x and set it equal to 0. My second factor is x minus 15. I'm going to set it equal to 0. Step 3 is to solve. What do I need to do here to get x by itself? Divide by 5. When I divide by 5, I'm left with x equals 0. So that's one solution. What do I need to do here to get x by itself? At the 15. X is now by itself. I have x equals 15. Was it terrible? Okay. All right, when you're done, you have the option to check yourself. If you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I did it right. You're going to take what you got and plug it back into the original. So you either can do it out loud or you can write it out. So if I'm checking 0, I'm like, oh, it can't be 0. If I take 0 and I substitute it back in, this is going to equal 0. Because 5 times 0 is 0, and 0 times anything is 0. I'm going to check 15. I have 5 times 15 times, that's not a 15. 15 minus 15. Does this equal 0? Yes, so that tells me I did it correct. So when you ask me, did I get the right answer? And I say, did you check yourself? Don't be mad at me. Okay? Because you have the ability to tell yourself if you did it right or wrong. Okay? How do we feel? What? I'm comfortable. Questions on step 0? No. Okay. Again, if it's not equal to 0, it's our job to make it equal to 0. Whether it's adding or subtracting or multiplying or dividing, our job is to make it equal to 0. Okay. Step 1 is you want to make sure it's fully factored. Step 2, fully factored, meaning that I've applied GCF, I've done trinomial factoring, I've done grouping, I've done everything I could to break this down into smaller pieces. Okay. So all the stuff that you're doing on your clue factoring review, those are the tools to help you factor, right? All right, here's our second example. So for the second example, I would like for you at your table to go through those 5 steps and see if you can find what x is.
It's not fully factored in. It is. It is. I think it is.
I'm gonna let you answer that yourself.
It is.
Okay. All right. Now go through the steps. Okay, so zero check. Is it ready to go? Boom. Is it fully factored? Yes. Step 2 is to separate the factors and set each equal to 0. So we have 2x minus 5 equals 0. And we have x plus 3 equals 0. Step 3 is to solve for x. In order to solve for x here, to get x by itself, we should have added 5. Gives you 2x equals 5 and divided 2. So x equals 5 halves. All you have to do here to get x by itself was subtract 3. So you get x equals -3. That went weird. You saw nothing. I can't even let that be. It's just bad. It's just bad. Let's try that again. Okay. If I wasn't confident in my answer, what should I do? Check. I can do it out loud. I can do however. So if I plug in -3, -3 plus 3 is 0. And it makes this whole thing equal to 0. That checks out. 5 halves. A lot of times with fractions, you guys are, ooh, something's not right. Fractions are your friends and they do what they need to do. Okay. So for example, if I have 2 times 5 halves minus 5, this is saying what is 2 times 5? 10. What is 10 divided by 2? Does 5 minus 5 equal 0? Yes. So it works. Okay. All right. Now, we have here x minus 2/7 times x minus 1/3. Am I going to work this problem any different? No. Just because there's fractions, which a lot of times you guys are like, I can't do that. This is so hard. Oh my gosh, Biz. Okay. This problem is just as easy as example 2. Yes, it is. It's actually easier. You see fractions, you see red. You got to remember you're canceling out. So opposite, inverse operations. Yep. Okay. Are you ready to check? Okay. All right. So step 0, is it equal to 0?
Yeah.
Yes. Check. Step 1, is it fully factored?
Yeah.
Yes. Step 2, if I take this, is that equal to 0? I have x minus 2/7 equals 0. I take the next one, x minus 1/3 equal to 0. Done. Step 3 is to solve. What would I need to do to solve?
Add 2/7 to both sides.
Add 2/7. So therefore x equals
Positive 2/7.
+2/7.
Add 1/3 on both sides. That's usually x. Oh my God, I'm so smart.
Again, fractions are our friends. Friends. Okay.
When will we need this in my life?
Depending on what you're doing.
Never.
If you're
I
going.
don't never want to work with fractions.
All right, here we go. X squared minus x equals 30.
I'll finish myself.
Please stop being dramatic. Okay. Huh? How many examples?
Guys,
You
probably one tip.
I don't know. You may need another page.
Oh yeah,
Try to do give as many as possible. All right. First thing first, step 0. Is this equal to 0?
No.
No. So step
Right.
0, no, we got to make it equal to 0. I need to make this side equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract the 30. Because if I subtract 30, will that make that side equal to 0?
Yeah.
So now I have x squared minus x minus 30 equals 0. Problem solved. Step 0 satisfied. Okay. Step 1 is this factored? No, it is not. But it's a simple trinomial, meaning that a equals 1. So all I'm asking myself is what multiplies to give me negative 30, but adds to give me negative 1. What kind of 5 and 6? Negative 6 and 5. So our factors are x minus 6 and x plus 5 equals 0. Now am I fully factored? Yes. After I'm fully factored, what do I do?
All right, you separate this factor.
Separate and set them equal to 0. So therefore, what are my x's? Perfect. And if I didn't feel good about it, what would I need to do? Check. Okay. Yes.
I guess so.
It's not bad. It's not bad. All right. Questions about part 1? This is part 1.
Part 1.
Part 1. Part 2.
How many parts do we got?
I said there are 4 parts to this. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening.